Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and once again it is time for my client Gustov's vlog. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so. And if you'll be kind enough to drop a comment down below, I'd appreciate it so much. So because of his schedule, crazy work schedule, he literally can't get to the gym Monday, Friday for the most part. So we're doing 2 workouts a week, and yet we are making progress still. You know, he's doing 1 upper, 1 lower on the weekends. We are still making gains like I promised him that we would. He was worried he was going to lose gains. He's like, it's going to suck for like 6 weeks, coach. I can only train 2 days a week. I really and truly can't get around on my scheduling to get over to the gym and still get enough sleep on those days. So can we pull it off and keep my gains? And I'm like, dude, we will make gains. And that's what we've been doing. So we go pretty hard on this. So it's literally like for the upper, 3 sets of bench press, 1 rep in reserve, 3 sets of pull-ups, 3 sets of dips, pretty much to failure weighted. Then we do barbell rows, press downs, curls, laterals. So fair amount of volume. It is, in terms of most of the stuff, it's like six direct sets. You know, for chest, 6 direct sets for back between bench press and dips, pull-ups and rows. And then we just fill in all the other, secondary muscles with 1 exercise or 3 sets to failure. So we do curls, extensions of some type, we're doing press downs, and then we do some laterals. So that again, on top of what we're getting from the compound movements, because those do carry over. You know, your delts and your arms are going to grow from those compounds, but we're also taking the time to put some direct work in. Okay, again, we got one day for the upper body to make it work. Now, context, we are squatting and deadlifting on the lower day, so that is going to have obviously some upper body benefits. So we are getting some secondary stimulus, especially stuff like the back and everything. But again, we're just trying to make the most of it. So again, it's a lot of work because you do the math. That's 7 exercises, 3 sets. Most of the sets up to failure, right? Most of the sets are being taken to failure. Benching, I'm obviously not having to do it. Obviously squats and deadlifts, I'm not having them go to failure. Not saying we couldn't. I've done it on camera for a couple weeks at a time, doing every set to failure. It can be done, right? But in his case, again, without me there to really supervise and know what's up with it and to really have someone who's a very, very experienced lifter, I'm just going to avoid that. You know, let's just do the smaller exercises to failure, though. Right? We can do curls and extensions to failure. We can do lateral raises to failure. We can do weighted pull-ups to failure. That's fine. I am careful with squats, deadlifts, bench for people who are not really experienced with it. Again, I would say to a lot of guys, it would be different if I was just telling you to do it. Most of you probably be safe. But when I'm prescribing it to a young man, I have to take a slightly different approach. Just saying, look, you guys can go to failure. Just be safe with it. Use your safety racks. Use proper spotters. Obviously, the squat, you want racks. You don't use spotters when you're squatting to failure. That's a real bad idea. You use a rack for a reason. So again, taking this stuff pretty hard, though. They are going to be very, very hard sets, because of the nature of what we need to do here and what we need to pull off. So we have that. We have the laterals to finish up here. So again, the upper body, fair amount of work. It's 21 total sets. It's a decent amount of volume. But we're over here talking about, oftentimes I say stuff like, what are we looking at is really minimum volume to get good gains a week. Not any gains, but at least good gains. It's going to be 6 really hard sets. I feel like that's a good baseline. And I've said that numerous times. Well, that's literally what we're doing. And then it would depend those smaller movements, those other smaller muscles of how much we're getting. I could argue they're probably getting work pretty good when we're doing, especially the dips on the triceps. But I digress. We're doing a little bit more there. Now the squats, I don't like this squat stand. I got this sent to me, but he's only at this gym for a day. He had to do a different gym this day. I'm not a super big fan of not having safety arms. Now he is doing it with the heels on the plates. Again, case of didn't run it by me. And this is stuff that's normal, with your lifters. Welcome to being a coach. You'll get this from lifters where they'll do something because it seemed like a good idea, They don't run it by you at all. They're just like, I'll just, put my plates on the hills. I see a lot of other guys do it. I know guys who do it. I'll just do it, right? I'm not a fan of that approach personally. I'm like, if you're going to go that route, you need lifting shoes. No point in taking the risk on plates. I don't see the point. And again, do you have the mobility to squat to the depth you want? And if you do, there's no need, right? Mobility issues. So again, stuff that could be worked on. But again, I'm just making a note there that for me as a coach, and a lot of you who are coaches and trainers, guess what? Welcome to the real world where you prescribe stuff that your lifters are just going to make changes like that. Not ask you, not run it by you, just because it seemed like how a lot of other guys are doing it. It must be good. I saw this guy do it, that guy do it. Why not? I've seen guys completely change their squat. Guys who were squatting really hard, they were doing a closer. Like, well, I saw this one guy, Ray Williams, doing ultra wide, so I decided to take all the way my fingertips to the collars on their real top work. So they didn't even practice that way with a heavier weight. Straight to their top sets, and this stuff goes real wrong, and then they're like, what happened? I got stapled, I got folded over, Like, well, why didn't we experiment with this first? Why didn't you discuss it with me first? It's normal, guys. Normal part of coaching. You're used to it. You deal with it. I can tell guys to pause on a bench press, and next thing I know, it's all touch and go. Again, and people will laugh, but I mean, it's my normal. Like, I'm not even upset about it. I'm like, okay, heels on the plates. I'll say something later. I'm just not a fan. I don't think there's a need. But I digress. Back over to the joys of coaching. But so for the lower body day, obviously we do squats, 3 sets of squats now. We do deadlifts, we do leg presses, calf raises. We do leg curls, but he told me when he got there, he's like, Coach, they didn't have a leg curl machine at this gym. And I'm like, really? They got a leg press, they got this other, they got a calf raiser, they didn't have a leg curl. This sort of stuff happens again all the time. Welcome to being a coach. It's just the nature of it. It's going to happen with your lifters too. Equipment, they'll get there, you have equipment assigned, you're not expecting it to not be there. They get the workout done, they weren't able to reach you in time. Obviously, you've been asleep, you could have been for me, given that the thing could have been at 2 a.m. where he's training. And, they miss a certain thing. So sometimes we occasionally need to have substitutes ready in case your lifter's going to a different gym or something's broke at theirs and you don't know about it. Again, the nature of the game, guys. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.